The NFL has a lot of great quarterbacks in the league nowadays. Most of them are getting paid a lot of money. But for this video, that doesn't matter. If you want to hear my opinion on quarterback salaries, go check out the video I made with Rob about a week ago. Today, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 quarterbacks heading into next season. But today we're only talking about the first 5. The next video will be talking about the next 5, plus my honorable mentions, and there's 6 honorable mentions. For number 1, we have the obvious choice. It is Patrick Mahomes. You know, his MVP season, he threw 50 touchdowns, 5,100 yards, 12 picks. He led probably the best offense in the league that year with great receivers, great tight end, good running back. I mean, I don't know what else you can ask from Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, he's the most talented QB in the league right now. His way to evade pressure and throw the ball down the field on the run accurately. His strong arm, he can throw it almost the whole distance of the field. Potentially he could, but in a game, it's a little different than just standing at the top of the end zone throwing it. You know, he led his team to a Super Bowl this year. Last year, he went to the conference championship. His rookie year, he played 1 game, had 284 yards and 1 pick. Obviously, that's not good, but who cares? You know, his first game as a rookie in Week 17. It's a meaningless game. But yeah, basically just the most talented, probably the most talented player in the league, outside of maybe Aaron Donald. But defensive linemen are a topic for another video that might come out next week or the week after, depending on how long it takes me to make these videos about the offensive positions. And so yeah, Pat Mahomes, he's young. He's about to get signed to a huge contract. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first team All-Pro, and he leads to wins. Obviously, won the Super Bowl. Yeah, he's just a great quarterback, as we all know. Last year, 26 touchdowns, 5 picks in 14 games. I mean, that's pretty good. Won those games. He played injured-ish, like the game back from injury in the game that he got injured in. And yeah, basically, no argument. Pat Mahomes is number 1. Number 2, this is where you can argue with me. Russell Wilson. I have him over Lamar Jackson just because I think he's a better quarterback. Not just a better, I think Lamar's the better player. I think Russ is a better quarterback. Again, the way that he evades pressure is probably the best in the league. He's on a run-first offense, and he throws for consistently a lot of yards and touchdowns and minimal picks. Last year, 4,100 yards, 31 touchdowns and 5 picks, and one of the best rushing offenses in the league. I don't know what else you can ask from Russell Wilson. He leads your team to wins, even with a poor offensive line, average defense, only 2 wide receivers that are really talented, 2 good running backs, or 1 good one and 1 good backup in Rashad Penny. But they were both injured at points in the year, Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. And I don't know what else you can ask from him. He's won a Super Bowl in his career in 2013 or 2014, one of those years. But he literally has never had an under 9-win season. His rookie year went 11-5. Last year, he also went 11-5. But the fact that he's still winning without the Legion of Boom, I don't know why I said boom, and putting up great numbers in a run-first offense with a poor offensive line, it's just great to see because you know that he can evade the pressure like no one else. It's fun to watch. He's probably one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch. And just the way he releases the ball at his height, he gets it off quickly. And he has 2 good receivers to help him out. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are great. His tight ends have been average, but he's made them look better than they actually are. And Jacob Hollister and Will Dissly. And then Jimmy Graham was trash for them, but trash to his standards. But at least with the Saints. After the Saints, he's been average at best. But yeah, Russell Wilson, in my opinion, second best quarterback in the league over Lamar Jackson. And going into that, we have Lamar Jackson at 3. He was in his second year this year. He was the MVP. He went 13-2 in 15 games. Obviously, didn't play Week 17. 3,100 yards, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, with 1,206 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, and 176 attempts, with a 6.9 yards per carry average. I mean, he's explosive. I don't know what else you can say. He's evasive, not even just in the pocket, in the open field. That spin move against the Bengals, it's like that Michael Vick run against the Vikings. Watching Lamar Jackson might be better than watching prime Michael Vick. I mean, that might be debatable, but Michael Vick was also very fun to... Obviously, I wasn't, really alive then, / in football when he was in his prime. Obviously, watching highlights nowadays, it's fun to watch. But Lamar Jackson, man, he's so fast, he's so elusive. I don't know what else you can really ask of him, because he does everything you need. He had a good completion percentage, a lot of touchdowns, minimal picks. His rookie year he went 6-1 with 1,200 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks, and yards per game he was only 75. But this year, it was only 208. But what was his rushing average this year? This year it was 80, and last year it was 43. So last year he did kind of bad, but he won. That's all you need, is a winning quarterback. Yeah, he wins games. He has a good offense around him. He had the best offense in the league, second best offense in the league last year behind the Cowboys, in yards at least. And in rushing yards, his team was first. I don't know what else you can ask for him. He's just a great quarterback. He's not the best thrower of the football. That's why I had Russell Wilson before him. And the next two guys, you can obviously argue, are better quarterbacks, but I feel like just the way that Lamar Jackson is one of the best quarterbacks in the players in the league. I feel like there's nothing else that makes any sense. No one else that makes any sense to put above him, just because of how explosive he is to watch. He's not that good in the playoffs. He hasn't done much in the playoffs. He has not done well. Last year, in his one playoff game, he had 365 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. His rookie year, his one playoff game, he had 194, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Rushing, he had 54 yards in his rookie year. This year, he had 143. Jesus. But in his rookie year, he fumbled 3 times in that one playoff game. Last year, he fumbled 1. Were the fumbles lost, though? I don't know if it says that. No, it doesn't say that. But yeah, so he hasn't been the best playoff player through his 2 years, as opposed to Mahomes, who has never been less than the conference championship while starting, obviously winning a Super Bowl. But Lamar Jackson is going to win a Super Bowl at some time in his career. Last year he had the first round bye, lost to the Titans, but I'm pretty sure most teams would have lost to the Titans, except for the Chiefs in the divisional round, just because of how hot they were, coming off the Patriots win, coming off their late season run to get to the playoffs. And yeah, basically Lamar Jackson, top 3 quarterback right now. Maybe not the top 3 thrower of the football, obviously not, but just his talent and explosiveness puts him here. Number 4, you could switch 4 and 5. They're the same talent, I would say. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. He's been injured the past couple years. Last year he played 16 games. 2018 played 16 games, but he wasn't fully healthy for all those games, but he was still great. The year before that he only played 7. Last year he won 13 games, but the argument for Rodgers is that you could argue that the ground game kind of carried him last year, as the Packers, where were they in the rushing? They were middle of the pack, but having Aaron Jones out of the backfield receiving, as well as Jamal Williams, with 2 great running backs like that, it's hard to lose games, especially with a good defense. But the one credit that I'm giving Aaron Rodgers over Drew Brees, obviously Drew Brees is 5, is that the lackluster wide receiver play last year, especially with Devontae Adams' injury. He won 13 games with Devontae Adams as number 1, which is great. But after that, it was no one. It was literally nobody after that number 2 through 5 for wide receivers. He didn't have great tight end play last year either. Offensive line has obviously been good for basically his whole career. Threw 26 touchdowns, 4 picks, and 4,000 yards last year. Obviously didn't throw as many touchdowns because Aaron Jones had 19 total. Well, 16 rushing, 3 receiving. So when you have running back like that, it's hard to throw a ton of touchdowns. But Aaron Rodgers always been one of the most accurate passers in the league. He's one of the most accurate passers of all time. He's a 2-time MVP. He's a 1-time Super Bowl champion, I think. 1 time, yeah. But Aaron Rodgers leads his team to wins no matter what. He's the most accurate quarterback in the league, in my opinion. I don't know what else Aaron Rodgers needs to prove, except for maybe staying healthy for a whole year, recently at least. And with the wide receivers he has, for him to win that many games and do that well as a quarterback, it's great to see, because when you have that lackluster wide receiver play and you win 13 games, throw for 4,000 yards, that's just a huge compliment on your end. There's nothing you can really do to prevent not doing as well as your standards with only 1 good wide receiver, but he got around that because of his good running back play, great offensive line, good defense. So Aaron Rodgers, number 4. To summarize, most accurate quarterback in the league. Strong arm, great pocket presence, can get outside the pocket a little bit. Obviously now that he's going to be 37, he's not as like not elusive, but like evasive in the pocket as he used to be. But yeah, he's number 4. Number 5, we have Drew Brees. Obviously very strong arm. Last year only played 11 games, but he put up basically 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 4 picks in 11 games. That's insane. He went 8-3, and then obviously Teddy Bridgewater went almost undefeated last year, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater went undefeated as a starter last year. As a team, their offense in yards total was 9th with 5,982 yards, with 265 passing yards per game and 108 rushing yards. The 108 rushing yards isn't amazing, but it's definitely not poor. Actually, it's not really that good. But Drew Brees leads his team to wins no matter what. He had Michael Thomas, obviously, and he had Alvin Kamara. He had Jared Cook. He had Ted Ginn. But in reality, I think Traquan Smith is better than Ted Ginn at this point, but he just didn't have as many yards or catches. But when Ted Ginn is your second best receiver in yards, at least, that's pretty bad. But I mean, Michael Thomas had 17, including playoffs, 1,800 yards. But also, I think Michael Thomas is the slightest bit overrated, just because he doesn't have the best like routes. He's very limited with his routes, like slants, outs. He can't really go deep down the field. That's like his only issue. But besides that, he's probably a top 2 receiver in the league. I think Julio's better, but that's a topic for another video, potentially. For my receiver video, actually. But yeah, Drew Brees, I don't think there's any argument for him to be out of the top 5. I mean, you could even argue top 3 or top 4, but I just put Aaron Rodgers above him just because of age, accuracy, even though Drew Brees is probably top 3 in accuracy. And, I mean, he obviously has the best completion percentage, but he also doesn't throw the ball deep down the field as much as he used to, when he was with the 7-9 Saints back in, like, 2016, 15, 14, and 12. They weren't really that great for a couple years because their defense was horrendous. Like, it was so bad. Like, I remember that's when I first started getting the NFL was 2014. Yes, my first football year of, like, actually caring was 2014. The year the Pats beat the Seahawks. Like, I always knew the Saints is a bad defense, but now they have a good defense and a great offense. They've always had a good offense, but, watching Drew Brees play is fun. He's slow. He's not that good in the pocket. He's not that, like, evasive in the pocket, but he can get the ball off quick because of his wide receivers and their game plan. Jared Cook's a good tight end to stretch the field. He's only been a one-time first-team All-Pro, which was in 2006, which is kind of crazy to think about. But, yeah, that's really weird, because he's, like, one of the top 5 best quarterbacks of all time, in my opinion, at least. But, yeah, Drew Brees, throws for a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, minimal picks, doesn't rush at all, if any. Like last year, how many rushing yards did he have? -4. Yeah, he's a great runner of the football as a quarterback. He's basically Lamar Jackson. He's fast, he's elusive, he can juke you out. I'm just kidding, obviously, but, Drew Brees obviously is one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch, just how he can stretch the ball downfield if needed, but he's very good in the intermediate and short passing game. He has a good tight end, Jared Cook, and a great wide receiver in Michael Thomas. I think Traquan Smith will break out this year, as well as Emmanuel Sanders doing good for them. And I think they'll be a Super Bowl contender next year, basically because Drew Brees can help them win no matter what. No matter what situation he's in, he's going to help you win games. And, yeah, basically that's my top 5 quarterbacks. We got summarized Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and Drew Brees. Every one of those quarterbacks will lead their team to a top-rated offense in yards per game at least, and scoring. And, yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Have a good one.